Today we have a 2012 model Kia Picanto. It's got roughly 54,000 miles on the clock and it's the 1.2 petrol engine. As part of the service I'm doing on this car today, I'm going to be doing an oil and filter change. The filter on this one is accessed from underneath. It's a metal spin-on one. As with every oil and filter change I do, I like to, you can either loosen or take the cap right off and just pull the dipstick up, which allows air back into the engine as the oil's draining out underneath. As you can see, it's quite easily accessible. The oil filter here and the sump plug here. It's fairly warm, so hopefully it shouldn't take too long for the oil to drain out. Obviously, the hotter it is, the faster that will come out. It's a 17mm sump plug, 17mm head size. I like to use a single hex socket. It just gives you a little bit better purchase and less chance of slipping and rounding it off. Oh, but that was it, that cracked loose. Wasn't as tight as I thought it was going to be. Yeah, just be ready to catch it, that's all. Right, just leave that there to do its thing for a little while. The oil filter on this is just a metal spin-on one here. There's a number of different tools you can use to remove these. You can get like a strap to go round and undo it, or you can get a chain. You can get like a three-pronged tool. I think I've got one over here, but this one's a bit too big for this anyway, which just goes on there and you put your ratchet in the bottom and it grips it tighter and undoes it, but this is obviously for bigger oil filters. You can also get the cups which match the shape of the oil filter. Push on, put your ratchet in the bottom and undo it. I tend to use these grips more than anything. They're normally pretty good. See if I can get a grip on that and just crack it loose. And be ready, because more oil will come out once that's loosened off. So make sure you got your drain tray or bucket or whatever you're using ready. I've seen some people punch a hole in the bottom of these filters before, just to let them drain down before they unscrew them, but that's all I normally do, just crack them loose a turn or so and let it trickle for a while. Right, that's been dripping for a while now, but it will obviously still be full of oil when you get it off, and you will still get a bit run out, so just be mindful of that. So when you're changing these, it's a good idea to make sure that rubber seal or O-ring is still in the filter and not stuck to the housing on the engine, because they do come out quite easily. Here's our new filter. It's not a genuine Kia filter. You should be able to pick one of these up under £10, probably £6–7. And as you can see there, it does say to apply oil to the seal face. I normally just get the old filter. And that's it, done. Yeah, make sure that's clean. It's just got some old oil on it dripping off still at the moment. That's fine. You don't need any tools to do these up, just do them up hand tight. That's it. So you can see the sump plug comes with a washer. Generally these are good to go a few times. Just make sure they haven't been crushed or split or anything. That's an aluminium washer on there. If in any doubt, you can pick one up when you get your oil filter and engine oil. I don't think I mentioned the reason you put oil on the seal on the filter is to hopefully stop it from sticking. Stop the seal from sticking to the engine when you remove it in the future. So nip that up. That'll wipe down. Okay, and next we'll drop it down and get some oil in. Right, before I put the oil in, you just want to make sure the dipstick's still up, this time allowing air back out of the engine as you pour oil in, and hopefully it won't glug back up and make a mess. So when I went to get the parts for this, just make sure you have your registration number handy whenever you need any parts for your car, because the dealer or the outlet can look up your particular vehicle details and recommend an engine oil that's suitable for your particular engine. They suggested that this one should hold 3.6 litres. So I've bought a 5 litre tub, which you should be able to pick up for around about £50 at this time anyway. Oil prices do change quite a lot. I'm going to start by putting in, that is just over 3 litres. Yeah. I always prefer to put a bit less in than they recommend, because it's not always correct, and it's far easier to top up in dribs and drabs rather than having to crawl back underneath the car and drain out any excess. Right, so now that's in there, I'll fire the car up. You don't need to rev it at all, just let it tick over for a little while. Obviously make sure your oil pressure light goes out. That's it, the light's gone out. So yeah, it's not a good idea to rev an engine as soon as it's started, particularly if you've just drained it and refilled it with oil. It can take a little while for the oil to circulate around the bearings. Well, it sounds fine. So we'll just switch it off now and let that stand for 3 or 4 minutes, and then check the level on the dipstick. Right, so I've got the dipstick out, and this is quite clear. You can see the low level, the little pimple there, and another one for F for full. And as you can see, that is just off of full. I'm going to put a tiny little dribble more in, but I don't really want to be going over the maximum mark, so that's had about 3.1 litres. So that would be a typical example of putting in the 3.6 that's specified and finding actually that's a bit too much. I've been there and done it myself. But yeah, it's just a bit of a pain when you have to get back underneath, take the sump plug out and drain out what you think is too much. It gets a bit messy. So I'll leave that again now for a few minutes and just check again. There we go. That's bang on the maximum. So I'm happy with that. And all I'll do now, same as I do with any jobs I do on the car, give it a run round the block and make sure there's no leaks.